Senator Crapo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hawkins, we've seen success in opportunity zones, as you've testified, all across the country following the enactment of the TCJA. But as you indicated, this authority is set to expire in 2026. I agree with you that we need to extend it. You've heard some criticism here today. You yourself indicated that there are improvements that can be made in the opportunity zone system. What improvements are needed to ensure that capital continues to flow to these distressed areas?
Thank you, Ranking Member Crapo. Some key improvements, and one that goes to the previous question is transparency. What we know is that according to joint tax, $84 billion with a B in equity has gone into these distressed communities through 2022. So we can extrapolate that out to $100 billion. And with the leverage associated with real estate investing, you're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. So we know the investment is going in, and we know it's going in dispersed across a number of communities. But what we need to do is empower the Treasury Department to compare the performance of opportunity zones against areas that could have been designated that weren't, and also against the broader economy as a whole across a number of measures. We also need to collect key information from investors on where they're investing, how many jobs they expect to create, what types of investment they're making, whether operating businesses by SIC code or real estate, and then beyond that, where they're investing, so that you all have the tools here on Capitol Hill to further target this investment and make sure that the impact is greatest for the existing residents of these distressed communities. So transparency is one. Obviously, extending this great policy. Like I said, we hoped for $50 billion over the entire 10-year life of the policy, and now we're looking at hundreds of billions going in. In just the first 2 years of this policy, you're looking at $50 billion in investment. It took the New Markets Tax Credit Program, which is a great program, 20 years to see the same investment. And so an extension would be the next thing, and then targeted fund of funds. A targeted fund of funds model would allow for high impact, targeted investment in hyper distressed urban areas and in rural areas, to be expanded. And
Thank you.
We're very excited about the changes you guys can make.
Thank you. And Mr. Novogradac, welcome to the committee. One concern that the committee has heard is that there is difficulty coordinating incentives like the opportunity zones, the new market tax credit, and the low-income housing tax credit. These tools incentivize different investments, but they share the same goal of expanding local economic development. My question is, how can Congress cut the unnecessary red tape and streamline these incentives so that they better complement each other? Wouldn't coordinating these incentives drive more investment toward the intended communities and boost the local economic development?
Yes, thank you for that question, Ranking Member Crapo. And I definitely would like to do all that we can to try to allow the incentives to work better together without as much transaction or friction costs associated with using the various incentives together. With respect to new market tax credits and long-living tax credit, that's one area where there can be a reasonable amount of friction, in part by the legislative design. Long-living tax credits are designed for residential rental housing. New market tax credits are everything but residential rental housing. So when you bring new market tax credits in to provide various services for long-living tax credit development, you actually have to create a separate condo structure to bring each of the supports in. So there are any guidance, if we could get legislative or regulatory guidance to help change that rule, that would be very helpful. I also think there's a number of other areas I wish I had more time to go through. I'd love to submit more comments to the committee in ways to better enable the integration of these various incentives. But I will emphasize one, which is the basis adjustment. There's a basis adjustment requirement that lowers the value of the market tax credits, it lowers the value of the historic tax credit, and lowers the value of using them together. And eliminating basis adjustments would be one big step forward in enhancing the ability and capability of these incentives.
Well, thank you. My time's expired. I encourage you to submit further comment on that if you would like to do so.
Thank you.